The menace unveiled. The Galactic Council chamber was never silent, but today, the air itself seemed to hold its breath. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the grand dome, scaled, furred, feathered, and silicon alike, all gathered around the shimmering holographic table that projected the image of a burning moon. The remains of it, rather. The moon had been whole only an hour ago. Now it was a smoking ring of dust orbiting a dead planet. A voice, cold and confident, echoed through the chamber. Let this demonstration serve as your warning. The speaker was Overlord Trashin of the Xylar Dominion, a towering reptilian creature clad in glistening black armor. His eyes, vertical slits of gold, swept across the horrified council. The Sunbreaker array is complete. With it, the Dominion can reach any world in any system. Submit to our governance, or share the fate of the moon of Kael'var. Gasps and low growls rippled through the room. Some species wailed in panic. Others hissed in defiance, but said nothing more. Trashin continued, relishing their fear. Your fleets are outdated. Your shields are weak. Your treaties meaningless. The Dominion holds the fire of gods now. And then his gaze shifted toward the smallest delegation table in the chamber, the humans. There were only 3 of them, sitting together amidst the chaos. Ambassador Kira Holt, Commander Nathan Rourke, and their aide, a silent AI projection hovering like a faint blue shimmer. Compared to the towering aliens, the humans looked insignificant, fragile even. Trashin sneered. And humanity, the newest to join our galactic order. You think yourselves brave, but I've seen your kind. Reckless, unrefined. Your little ships and primitive weapons won't save you. Holt didn't flinch. She folded her hands calmly. The last time someone underestimated us, Overlord, she said evenly, they didn't live long enough to regret it. Laughter erupted across the chamber. Deep, guttural, mocking laughter. You have no armies that can reach us, Trashin hissed. No ships that can withstand our power. The Sunbreaker will cleanse the stars of your arrogance. Holt's smile was cold. Then I suppose we'll just have to surprise you. The chamber descended into chaos again. Shouting, panic, demands for disarmament. But the humans stood, bowed politely, and walked out. They didn't need to argue. Their decision was already made. Far above Earth, in the cold silence of space, the UHS Vigilant Dawn drifted in stealth orbit. Its black hull absorbed starlight, a predator cloaked against the void. Inside, Admiral Rhea Vance stood before a massive holographic projection of the destroyed moon. Her steel-gray eyes traced every glowing fragment. Behind her, holopad displayed the Dominion fleet positions, weapon tests, and intercepted data feeds. Commander Rourke entered the command deck. Confirmation from the Council, ma'am. The Xylars aren't bluffing. The Sunbreaker is real and operational. I know, Vance said, her voice low. We've been tracking their energy signatures for weeks. They're building 3 more arrays near Kraxos 4. Rourke crossed his arms. The other empires are frozen. No one wants to risk open war. Vance turned, meeting his gaze. Then they'll watch their worlds burn. But not us. She tapped a command on her wrist console. A new hologram flickered to life. A sleek, black frigate with no visible transponder codes or alliance markings. The name across its side glowed faintly. Phantom Spear. Task Force Echo is assembled, Vance said. They'll launch within 48 hours. Rourke's brow furrowed. A covert strike, deep in Xylar territory? That's suicide. Maybe, Vance said, but it's the only move they won't expect. While they flaunt their power, we'll gut it from the inside. She turned back to the stars. If humanity is to survive this age, we can't fight like the others. We have to fight like us. Hours later, deep beneath Mars' red surface, the Helios black site came alive with motion. Engineers and soldiers moved in synchronized silence through dim red corridors. Massive blast doors hissed open to reveal drop pods, stealth drones, and cryo-cooled weapons, all stamped with no insignia. In a sealed chamber, Captain Elias Ward watched as his squad prepared for deployment. Each member was handpicked, elite operatives from Earth's shadow divisions. He addressed them quietly. You all know what's at stake. The Xylars think fear will keep the galaxy in line. They're wrong. A soldier smirked. We're ghosts, sir. Let's haunt him. Ward nodded once. Mission's simple. Infiltrate Kraxos 4, locate the Sunbreaker array, and end it. No traces. No survivors. Humanity doesn't exist on paper. Remember that. The chamber fell silent. The soldiers saluted. Ward's gaze hardened. For Earth. And with that, the phantom spear slipped from its hidden dock, its engines whispering like a heartbeat against the void. Back aboard the vigilant Dawn, Admiral Vance watched the dark ship fade into the stars. She whispered to herself, let them laugh. Let them think we're weak. Her reflection in the viewport was hard, unyielding. When humans strike, they'll remember us forever. Into the shadow zone, the phantom spear cut through the void like a ghost. Invisible to scanners, silent even to the void's hum. Its matte black hull shimmered faintly as light bent around it, the product of gravitational distortion fields, a technology no alien had yet cracked. Inside, red tactical lights pulsed low and steady, bathing the narrow corridors in crimson. Every step of the human operatives echoed softly against metal floors, each sound swallowed by sound-dampening panels. Captain Elias Ward sat in the command chair, helmet resting on his knee. Before him, a holographic projection displayed their route, a winding path through uncharted dark space, bypassing Dominion patrol zones and sensor webs. Report, Ward said quietly. Lieutenant Arya Keene, the mission engineer, adjusted her wrist console. Her voice was calm, but edged with tension. Stealth field stable. Energy bleed minimal. We're running colder than background radiation. If the Xylars spot us, it'll be blind luck. Good, Ward replied. Let's keep it that way. Across the room, Sergeant Hale, their weapons specialist, grinned. Luck's for them, not us. The others chuckled softly, brief, human warmth in a sea of black metal and stars. Hours passed. Space itself seemed to darken as the phantom spear entered the shadow zone, a region beyond mapped hyperspace corridors. Here, gravity wells twisted unpredictably, and rogue debris fields drifted through the dark like ancient bones. Keene frowned at her console. Sensors picking up residual mass, readings metallic, large. No power signatures, though. Ward leaned forward, put on visual. The hologram flickered. A graveyard of ships appeared. Hulks of shattered cruisers floated silently, their hulls scarred by plasma burns. Alien designs, dozens of species. The Xylars test victims. Sunbreaker trials, Hale muttered. Gods. Ward's jaw tightened. Let's make sure those deaths mean something. They drifted past the wrecks in absolute silence. Some ships were split neatly in half, clean, molten cuts where a planetary weapon had struck. Looks like they've been testing on live targets, Keene whispered. Whole fleets. Ward turned away from the view. And they think that'll make us kneel. The ship's AI, Athena, broke the silence. Captain, I am detecting faint encrypted transmissions ahead. Non-standard modulation, Dominion origin. Can you decode it? Attempting partial success. It's a security ping, an automated Xylar perimeter scan. They're probing for cloaked intrusions. Ward rose from his chair. Will it detect us? Unlikely, Athena replied. But they're using adaptive algorithms. The probability increases with every pass. Keene's hands flew over the controls. We can spoof them. If I create a series of false gravitational echoes, it'll look like natural stellar noise. Ward raised an eyebrow. Can that even work? She smiled faintly. It shouldn't. Which means it'll confuse the hell out of their logic circuits. Do it. Her fingers danced across the holographic interface. The phantom spear's field emitters pulsed, releasing microdistortions across nearby space. The sensor wave rolled over them. For a moment, the entire ship went dead quiet. The hum of the reactor reduced to a heartbeat. Then Athena's voice returned. Xylar probe bypassed. Detection probability, less than 0.02%. The crew exhaled in relief. Hale let out a laugh. Human 1, alien AI 0. Ward gave a small grin. That's what happens when you fight logic with chaos. A few hours later, the ship dropped out of FTL. Before them loomed their destination, Craxos 4. The planet hung against the void like a scarred bronze jewel, its surface lined with storm clouds and industrial fires. Dozens of orbital foundries surrounded it, each glowing faintly with heat and energy. At the center, suspended between magnetic anchors, was the half-complete Sunbreaker array, a colossal ring kilometers wide, spiked with energy conduits and reactor nodes. The crew stared at it in silence. Hale broke it first. That thing could melt Earth in an hour. Ward's gaze hardened. Not if we melt it first. Keen magnified the image. Thermal scans show high activity around the core section. That's where they're integrating the primary stabilizer. If we sabotage that, the whole system will collapse. Ward nodded. We'll drop in from the planet's shadow side, under the cover of its magnetic field. No comms, no light. Full blackout. He stood, putting his helmet back on. Athena, prep the drop pods. Once we breach the atmosphere, switch to passive control. Acknowledged, Athena replied. May I note, Captain, probability of success is less than 30%. Ward smiled behind his visor. That's 30% more than they'll expect. As the ship repositioned itself, the crew gathered in the drop bay. The pods were small, single-passenger capsules shaped like dark spears. Each had a thruster pack, sensor jammer, and exolink to their suits. The sound of their breathing filled the chamber as helmets sealed and HUDs came alive with blue light. Keen glanced at Ward. Once we land, we'll have 12 hours before the next orbital scan. After that, we're ghosts or we're dead. Ward placed a hand on her shoulder. Then let's make those 12 hours count. The red light above the hatch turned green. The bay doors opened, revealing the cold abyss and the planet's molten glow below. Drop in 5, Athena announced. 4, 3, 2, go! Ward ordered. The pods fired into the dark, vanishing one by one like meteors in reverse, streaks of shadow diving toward the planet's surface. From afar, the Phantom Spear reactivated its cloaking field, blending back into the stars. In the silence that followed, Admiral Rhea Vance's words echoed in Ward's memory. If the galaxy wants to see humanity's limits, show them we have none. The drop pods entered the storm-racked atmosphere, lightning flashing around them. Operation Eclipse had begun. Operation Eclipse. The descent through the atmosphere of Craxos 4 was chaos wrapped in fire. Captain Elias Ward's drop pod shuddered violently, red warning lights flashing across his visor. Thunder rolled beneath him as lightning tore through black clouds, painting the metallic storms in blinding flashes of white. He braced against the harness, his voice calm despite the turbulence. Echo Team, report. Keen green. Hale, stable. Rios, systems nominal. The voices crackled through encrypted comms, tight, disciplined, human. Ward checked altitude. Approaching drop window. Deploy retro thrusters. The pod systems hissed, slowing descent just enough to keep him alive. Through the reinforced viewport, he glimpsed the monstrous sprawl of the Sunbreaker foundry below, a lattice of metal and plasma conduits stretched across orbit, tethered by magnetic cables to the surface. Dozens of Xylar ships swarmed around it like wasps protecting a hive. Ward's voice dropped low. Eyes up, people. That's our target. No mistakes. He hit the release. The pod split open midair, the shell bursting away in a controlled explosion of chaff and reflective dust. Ward fell freely for a moment. Then his exosuit thrusters fired with a dull roar. Below him, the others streaked down like burning shadows, humans wrapped in ghost armor. They landed in silence. The platform beneath their boots trembled with the pulse of energy surging through the Sunbreaker's conduits. Around them, towers of metal rose into the storm clouds, each glowing faintly blue. Lieutenant Keen crouched beside a humming conduit and began scanning. This one's live. Their core's running hot, too hot. They're accelerating weapon tests. Ward looked up. The entire ring structure hummed with power. Then we're right on time. He tapped his comm, Echo, 1 to Phantom Spear. We're in. Proceed to dark orbit. Maintain calm silence unless extraction order. Acknowledged, came Athena's calm voice. Good hunting. The humans moved in formation through the industrial maze. Keen led the way with her scanner, finding maintenance ducts and blind zones in the alien surveillance grid. They slipped past security drones using cloaked transponders, Earth-made countermeasures that fed the machines false data loops. At one junction, a drone hovered too close. Hale reacted instantly. A soft click, then a silent magnetic burst. The drone froze midair, its lights flickering before it dropped lifeless to the deck. Clean, Hale muttered, dragging it into the shadows. Ward nodded once. Good. Keep moving. They descended into the reactor corridor. The air was thick with ozone and metallic dust. Rows of glowing Xylar glyphs lined the walls. Alien warning sigils none of them could read. The deeper they went, the louder the pulse of energy became, a rhythmic thrum like a heartbeat echoing through steel. Keen crouched near a junction node and opened her pack, planting quantum pulse charges. Sync to my signal. She pressed the first device against the conduit. It latched magnetically, lights blinking amber. Ward checked his timer. How long to full detonation? 10 minutes per charge. We'll link 6 total, then set the core overload. Once that happens, the Sunbreaker eats itself alive. Then let's get to it. They worked methodically, silent professionals in the belly of an alien god. But as the final charge went live, the deck shuddered violently. Keen froze. That wasn't us. An alarm wailed, a deep, guttural howl that made the air vibrate. Ward's visor flashed red. They've detected the anomaly. We're compromised. The corridor lights shifted to blood red as bulkheads slammed shut. Alien voices echoed through metallic channels. Harsh, hissing commands. Contact incoming. Hale barked, raising his rifle. Xylar security troops burst through a side hatch. Tall, armored reptiles with plasma lances glowing green. The humans moved like predators. Hale's Gauss rifle thudded once. A shot that tore through the first alien's chest. Rios tossed an EMP grenade that exploded in a pulse of white light, disabling half the squad. Ward lunged forward, firing short bursts and dropping targets with surgical precision. Every movement was deliberate, efficient. But the aliens kept coming. Keen, Ward shouted. Status on the charges? 3 ready. 2 armed. 1 offline. Power surge knocked it out. Ward ducked behind a pillar as plasma fire scorched past him. Then we improvise. He pulled a small device from his belt. A shaped micronuke, Terran tech banned by Galactic law. Hale grinned behind his visor. Now that's more human. Ward primed it. We'll use this as the trigger for the chain. Once it goes off, the rest will cascade. He tossed the device into the conduit's energy well. It stuck, blinking red. Charges set, Keen confirmed. Then we're leaving. They sprinted through the foundry as explosions began to ripple behind them. The Sunbreaker's hum turned into a roar. Metal screamed as energy feeds overloaded and conduits burst like arteries. The team fought their way upward toward the extraction point. Hale was hit. Plasma grazed his shoulder, melting armor and flesh. He stumbled, growling through the pain. Keep moving, Ward shouted, hauling him up. Keen triggered remote detonation. Detonating now. The world turned white. A shockwave ripped through the structure, tearing apart support beams and hurling debris into the sky. The Sunbreaker ring cracked in half, its energy core imploding under its own unstable fusion. Ward and his team dove into their evac pods just as the entire facility exploded outward in a blinding cascade of light. The pods fired upward, punching through the atmosphere like arrows of fire. Behind them, the Sunbreaker disintegrated, the Xylar's divine weapon reduced to molten debris raining over their own world. High above, the Phantom Spear decloaked just long enough to snatch the pods in its magnetic hold. Inside, Athena's voice was calm as ever. Extraction complete. Minimal losses. Ward's breath was ragged inside his helmet. Keen status? Charges successful. Weapon core destroyed. Ward looked out the viewport. The planet below glowed red and gold, streaked with falling debris. He smiled faintly. Then we've done it. Humanity just broke a god's toy. The reckoning. The wreckage of Kraxos burned like a dying sun. From orbit, it looked almost peaceful. Streaks of molten light drifting through the void, the shattered remains of the Sunbreaker array tumbling in slow, fiery arcs. But beneath that silence was devastation. On board the UHS Phantom Spear, Captain Elias Ward stood in the medbay doorway, his armor scorched and cracked. He watched the medical drones work over Sergeant Hale, sealing the plasma wound on his shoulder. Hale's grin hadn't faded despite the pain. "Guess that's one way to get a tan," Hale muttered. Ward exhaled, half a laugh escaping. "You're lucky you're still breathing." Keen limped past them, clutching a data core pulled from the alien foundry, still humming faintly. "Recovered this before the blast. Xylar weapon schematics. Might be useful if we ever need to make sure they never build another." Ward nodded. "Send it to the Vigilant Dawn. Admiral Vance will know what to do." Outside, through the ship's observation viewport, the flames of the dying planet glimmered. The weapon that was meant to enslave humanity had become its own tomb. Far across the void, on the bridge of the UHS Vigilant Dawn, Admiral Rhea Vance stood in silence as the transmission came through. The screen flickered once, then stabilized. Ward's battered face appeared in the hologram, static dancing across his image. "Mission complete, Admiral," he said. "Sunbreaker destroyed. Kraxos 4 in ruins. Echo Team 4 survivors." Vance nodded slowly, her jaw tight. "You did what the rest of the galaxy thought was impossible." Ward's gaze hardened. "We did what we had to." "Understood," Vance said softly. "You and your team have earned the thanks of every soul on Earth, even if they'll never know your names." Ward gave a faint smile. "That's how it should be." The transmission ended, and the bridge fell into silence again. The crew watched as the holoscreens replayed sensor footage, the Sunbreaker collapsing, shockwaves rippling through the Dominion fleet. No one cheered. There was no triumph here, only quiet pride. Within hours, the galaxy erupted in chaos. Across communication networks, alien worlds broadcast panic. The Xylar Dominion, once seen as unstoppable, had lost its god weapon to a species it considered primitive. Their fleets scattered to defend core worlds. Dozens of client empires began to rebel, emboldened by the impossible, that humans had struck a blow no one else dared attempt. Council channels filled with arguments and disbelief. "Impossible," roared the Crothan delegate. "No species without psionics could breach a Dominion world." "The humans did," another voice answered coldly. "And they did it unseen." Old alliances began to fracture. The Council demanded answers, but the humans gave none. Their official response was short and precise, delivered by Ambassador Kira Holt before the entire assembly. "The United Terran Systems does not seek war," she said evenly, her eyes scanning the room of shocked delegates. "But if any power threatens our people again, we will respond. Quietly, efficiently, permanently." Her words echoed in the chamber long after she left. Back aboard the Phantom Spear, the crew was quiet. The hum of the engines was the only sound as they drifted through deep space, cloaked and unseen. Ward sat alone in the observation deck, helmet off, a bandage wrapping one arm. Beyond the glass, the stars stretched endlessly, cold, beautiful, and silent. Keen approached, sitting beside him. "Still thinking about them?" Ward didn't answer right away. "The ones we lost, the ones who didn't come back." She nodded. "They knew the risks. We all did." He leaned back, eyes distant. The Xylars thought fear would keep everyone in line. But now they'll be the ones looking over their shoulders. Keen smiled faintly. "So what now? We just disappear." Ward looked at her, tired but resolute. "That's what ghosts do." Hours later, a transmission reached them from Admiral Vance. Her voice was steady, but something in her tone carried weight. "The Council is in uproar. Dominion fleets are pulling back. You've changed the balance of power, Elias. Humanity isn't just on the map anymore. We're the piece no one knows how to play against." Ward smirked. "Good. Let them wonder. Your team will return to Luna Base for debriefing. After that, rest. You've earned it." The message ended, and for a moment, silence reclaimed the ship. Ward stood, gazing out once more at the drifting wreckage of the Sunbreaker. "They thought they could threaten us into submission," he murmured. "But they forgot what happens when humans get cornered." He placed a gloved hand against the viewport. "We don't surrender. We adapt. And when we strike," he watched the flames consume what was left of Kraxos 4. "We make it count." Weeks later, the Phantom Spears slipped quietly into orbit over Earth. The blue marble glowed beneath them, fragile, yet defiant. The crew disembarked in silence, their mission unrecorded, their names erased from history. But every one of them carried the same pride. They had changed the course of galactic history, unseen and unthanked. On a classified file deep within Terran Command's archives, a single report sat under heavy encryption. The title was simple: Operation Eclipse Successful. In the outer sectors of space, the Xylar Dominion rebuilt in fear. They whispered of the phantom humans who had destroyed their divine weapon. The legend spread faster than truth. Humans who appeared from nowhere, dismantled the impossible, and vanished before vengeance could find them. To some aliens, the story became a warning. To others, a prayer. And in the shadows of the galaxy, humanity watched, silent, ready, and patient. For the first time in centuries, the predators of the stars realized something terrifying. Humans didn't need superior weapons. They were the weapon.